Hello, thank you for having me here to delegate on the important issue of anti-Semitism and the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. I'd like to start by first explaining my background and knowledge of this issue. I'd personally describe myself as a researcher of hate movements and ideologies. I've written professionally about some of my work, specifically on findings that are local to Ontario and the region. While I would not consider myself an expert on anti-Semitism, I have encountered it extensively in my work. And this brings up one of my first points. Anti-Semitism is a huge issue in our community and absolutely needs to be addressed. We have seen Nazi symbols spread in various parts of our community, including places of worship like Beth Jacob Synagogue. With the COVID-19 pandemic, conspiracy theories rooted in anti-Semitism rose in popularity. I tracked prominent politicians partnering with Christian nationalists that use terms like globalist and cultural Marxist. Many may not know, but these terms have deep roots in anti-Semitic ideology, and I believe this is part of what makes anti-Semitism so nefarious. There's such a long history of it in our region and around the world that it's an undercurrent of so many ideologies and movements that we see today. Even in our own municipal election, I saw this, when there was an anti-trans, anti-critical race theory event with over 600 people attending. During this event, a speaker falsely claimed that critical race theory evolved out of Marxist ideology. This again is a common claim by various groups, especially white supremacists, that is rooted in an anti-Semitic idea about Jewish people seeking to destroy Western society. These are absolutely false and need to be condemned, and we see them in the region so often. And whether these people are promoting and spreading these ideas, whether they know they're doing this and being anti-Semitic or not, it's not important. The fact is, I've seen these ideas come more and more mainstream in recent years. I share these examples to emphasize how critical it is that our community combat anti-Semitism and to also help educate many of you in recognizing some of the more subtle aspects that anti-Semitism has when it's perpetuated in our region. And while I believe that this board has a role to play in addressing anti-Semitism, I cannot support the adoption of the IHRA definition. I really hope all of you were able to attend the webinar on Wednesday that was very educational on this topic, and I know other delegations will likely cover some of these things too. But this definition has a history of being used to silence Palestinian activists because it so closely equates criticism of the state of Israel to anti-Semitic ideas about Jewish people. Looking specifically at our schools, Jewish students have a right to be in a safe and accepting environment, and so do Palestinian students. These two rights are not in opposition to each other, and any attempt to frame it that way is a disservice to all students. The IHRA definition needlessly pits these rights against each other by the nature of the examples that are part of the definition that will be adopted if this motion passes, as well as a historical precedent of how it has been used once adopted. I do not see how the adoption of this definition would tangibly combat anti-Semitism and hate, but I have seen how it has been used by bad faith actors to attack others. We need to understand the unique aspects of anti-Semitism, as well as how it is frequently used in conjunction with racism and colonialism to perpetuate white supremacy. The board already has specific policies about anti-racism and discrimination that include anti-Semitism. If individual members of the board are genuinely concerned about anti-Semitism, they should be working with the equity and inclusion team to address it, as they are the best equipped to take action in combating this hateful ideology. I wrote this delegation a few days ago, and already there are things I needed to add due to recent actions of various individuals. We're seeing the harms of the IHRA definition occurring right now in our community. There are people making accusations implying that those opposed to this definition are promoting anti-Semitism, and the chilling effect of this definition is already occurring even before it's been adopted or brought up in this meeting. These blanket accusations serve to paint all opposition to a flawed definition in a bad light, rather than engaging in good conscience with those who rightfully point out the need for an intersectional understanding of anti-Semitism and other hateful ideologies. These actions pit the safety of Jewish students and Palestinian students against each other, just like I said I could earlier in my delegation. It indicates to many students that their identity is not acceptable in their school, which directly contradicts the policies and commitments this board has made to students. Beyond definitions, we need tangible action to protect students. We need to educate staff, teachers, and students to recognize anti-Semitism and how to stop it. We need trustees and staff that are genuinely committed to combating hateful ideologies like anti-Semitism rather than targeting vulnerable students. In summary, the anti-Semitism is absolutely a threat to the safety of students in our schools and those in our community. But the IHRA does not help address this threat and actively harms students and those in our community. The board needs to seriously address this issue by using the tools that are already at their disposal. This board has made significant progress in working towards anti-racism, and combating anti-Semitism has been and should continue to be a part of that. The Waterloo Region School Board still has a long way to go in achieving this, and I hope you all choose to continue moving in that direction. Thank you for your time.